Welcome back, everybody, to the deep dive. This time, we are going deep into the world of adult autism,
Ooh, exciting.
specifically the concept of masking,
Yeah.
something that is really prevalent and yet often overlooked. We've
Mhm.
got some incredible research and personal stories lined up to help us understand all of this.
Yeah.
But what I find so fascinating is this idea of the personal cost of all this hiding.
Yeah.
What happens when you start to peel back those layers?
Right. And that's really what makes this dark dive so compelling, right?
That's
It's
right.
not just about, understanding masking,
Right.
but about what it means to unmask for individuals and for society as a whole.
Okay, so let's unpack this a little bit.
Yeah.
Could you just start by giving us a definition of what masking is?
Sure.
What does that even look like for autistic adults?
So masking is essentially, a conscious or subconscious effort to hide or camouflage autistic traits to fit in with what we consider neurotypical expectations. Those unwritten social rules that many autistic people experience differently.
So it's less about faking who you are and more about just trying to blend in
Exactly.
to avoid standing out.
Exactly. It's a way of navigating a world that often feels designed for a different way of experiencing it.
I was reading one of the articles that you shared, and it mentions stimming as something that people might mask.
Yes.
Can you explain what stimming is and why someone might feel the need to suppress it?
Yeah, so stimming refers to repetitive movements or sounds that can be self-soothing for autistic individuals,
Mm-hmm.
almost like a way to regulate sensory input.
Okay.
It can be anything from rocking back and forth to flapping hands to fidgeting with objects. The thing is, these behaviors, while perfectly natural for an autistic person, might be perceived as unusual or distracting by others.
So someone might try to suppress those behaviors just to avoid drawing attention to themselves.
Exactly.
I can see how that could be exhausting, always having to be on like that.
Absolutely. It takes a lot of mental energy to constantly monitor and adjust your behavior.
Right.
And over time, that can have, significant consequences for your well-being.
Oh, wow.
We're talking about emotional exhaustion, anxiety, even physical symptoms like headaches and fatigue.
It's almost like putting on a performance every time you interact with someone.
Mm-hmm.
I can imagine that it makes it really hard to genuinely connect with people when you're always trying to present a certain version of yourself.
You're exactly right. That's such a great point. One of the articles highlights this impact of masking on relationships,
Oh, wow.
how it can hinder your ability to form genuine connections. If you're not being your true self, it becomes difficult to truly connect with others.
So it's not just about fitting in with society at large.
Yeah.
It's about feeling comfortable enough to be yourself in your personal relationships as well.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, I know we've been talking about the cost of masking, but what about the why behind it?
Right.
Why do autistic adults feel the need to mask in the first place?
Well, that's where things get really interesting because it ties into how we as a society perceive and interact with neurodiversity.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it. If from a young age, you're constantly being told, either directly or indirectly, that your natural way of being is wrong or weird, you learn to adapt.
Oh, so it's not just about individual choice,
Right.
but about these social pressures and expectations placed on autistic individuals.
Yeah, exactly. It's a way of avoiding judgment, rejection, or even just that feeling of being a constant outsider.
Makes me wonder if all this masking could actually be contributing to some of the misconceptions people have about autism.
Yeah.
If so many autistic adults are masking their traits, it's no wonder that people might not fully understand the spectrum of experiences.
That's a brilliant insight. Masking creates this sort of invisibility cloak around autism, preventing people from seeing the full picture.
Oh, wow. Okay, so we've talked about what masking is, why people do it, and the potential cost of this hiding. Now, this might sound simplistic, but if masking is about hiding your autistic traits, is unmasking just about letting them show?
It sounds simple, but it's actually quite profound. Unmasking is about peeling back those layers of camouflage and allowing your authentic self to emerge.
Mm-hmm.
And that can be a journey filled with self-discovery challenges and ultimately liberation.
So it's not just about stopping certain behaviors.
Right.
It's about understanding and accepting your autistic identity.
It's about recognizing that your autistic traits are not flaws to be hidden, but inherent parts of who you are.
And that leads to a really interesting question. How does someone even begin to unmask?
Yeah.
What does that process look like? Well, that's what I find so intriguing about unmasking is the journey itself.
Yeah.
Is it a sudden shift or is it more of a gradual process?
It's definitely a journey, and it's unique for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
There's no set timeline or roadmap.
Okay.
Some people might start by unmasking in certain situations, like with close friends or family, while others might choose to be more open about their autism in, all aspects of their lives.
So it's about finding what feels safe and comfortable for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
One of the key things is paying attention to those physical and emotional cues we talked about earlier.
Right.
If you find yourself feeling drained or stressed after social interactions, it could be a sign that you're masking heavily. And it might be time to explore ways to reduce that.
So it's almost like giving yourself permission to step back from that performance mode and be more present in the moment.
Exactly. And that could involve allowing yourself to stim more freely,
Okay.
to express your thoughts and feelings more authentically, even if they differ from what's considered socially acceptable.
I imagine that can be a bit daunting, though.
It can be.
What if someone's worried about how others might react?
That's a valid concern.
Right.
Not everyone is going to understand or be supportive of your decision to unmask, and that can be hurtful.
Yeah.
It's important to remember that you don't owe anyone an explanation for your choices.
Okay.
But it's also okay to choose who you share this part of yourself with.
So it's about setting boundaries and prioritizing your own well-being. Precisely surround yourself with people who affirm and support you, who see your autism not as something to be fixed, but as an integral part of who you are.
This reminds me of something I read in one of the articles about how unmasking can be especially challenging in professional settings.
Yeah.
There's often this unspoken expectation to conform,
Right.
to fit into the corporate culture.
Absolutely. That's a huge issue. Many autistic people feel pressured to mask at work, often to the detriment of their mental and emotional health.
Wow.
What's fascinating is that research is starting to show that when companies embrace neurodiversity and create inclusive environments, everyone benefits.
So it's not just about making things easier for autistic employees.
Right.
It's about recognizing that neurodiversity can bring unique strengths and perspectives to the workplace.
Exactly. It's about shifting the mindset from fitting in to belonging.
Ooh, I like that.
And that's a shift we need to see, not just in workplaces, but in society as a whole.
I think that's a powerful message, this idea that unmasking is not just a personal journey.
But a movement towards greater understanding and acceptance of neurodiversity.
Absolutely.
But I'm also wondering about those people who might not be ready to unmask fully, or who choose to mask in certain situations. Is there a right or wrong way to approach this?
There's no one-size-fits-all approach. It's about finding what works for you.
Okay.
What allows you to navigate the world while honoring your needs and respecting your own boundaries. The important thing is to make those choices consciously.
Okay.
And to have the support you need to make them.
Support is a key word there.
It is.
Are there specific resources or strategies that can help people on their unmasking journey?
Absolutely. Therapy with a professional who specializes in autism can be incredibly valuable. It can provide a safe space to explore your feelings about masking and develop coping mechanisms for the challenges of unmasking.
It's almost like having a guide to help you navigate this new terrain.
Exactly.
Someone who understands the unique challenges and rewards of this process.
And don't underestimate the power of community.
Yeah.
Connecting with other autistic adults, whether online or in person, can be incredibly validating.
Right.
It allows you to share experiences, learn from each other, and realize that you're not alone in this journey.
You know, as we're talking about all of this, I'm realizing that unmasking is about so much more than just letting go of certain behaviors. It's about challenging deeply ingrained societal norms and expectations.
Yes.
And it's about creating a world where autistic people can thrive, not just survive.
That's a beautiful way to put it. It's about reclaiming your narrative, finding your voice, and contributing your unique talents to the world.
And in a way, isn't unmasking a powerful act of self-love?
It is, absolutely.
It's about accepting yourself fully, autism, and...
It's about recognizing your worth, your inherent value, and refusing to dim your light to fit into a world that doesn't yet fully appreciate the brilliance of neurodiversity.
This conversation has been so enlightening.
It has.
We've gone from defining masking to exploring its impact on individuals and relationships, to understanding the power and the potential of unmasking.
Yeah.
But before we wrap up this deep dive, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on something.
Okay.
We've talked a lot about the personal benefits of unmasking, but what about its impact on society as a whole?
Right.
Could widespread unmasking actually lead to a more inclusive world?
That's a fascinating question, and one that I think gets to the heart of what unmasking is all about. When autistic individuals feel empowered to be their authentic selves, it challenges those societal norms and expectations that often lead to masking in the first place.
So it's not just about changing individual behaviors, but about shifting the entire social landscape.
Exactly. It's about creating a world where neurodiversity is not just tolerated,
Oh, yeah.
but celebrated, where people are valued for their unique perspectives and contributions, regardless of how they experience the world.
This reminds me of something you said earlier about how unmasking can help to break down stereotypes and misconceptions about autism.
Yeah.
When people see autistic individuals living authentically, it challenges those narrow definitions.
And opens up a wider understanding of what it means to be autistic.
That's such a key point. Masking creates this sort of invisibility cloak around autism, preventing people from seeing the full spectrum of experiences.
Right.
Unmasking rips that cloak away, revealing the richness and diversity within the autistic community.
It's like saying, look, we're here, we're autistic, and we're not going to hide anymore.
Exactly.
And that's a powerful message, not just for other autistic people, but for everyone.
It's a message that challenges us to rethink our assumptions about what's normal, to expand our definitions of what it means to be human, and to create a world that truly embraces everyone.
And isn't that what true inclusion is all about?
It is.
Creating a world where everyone feels seen, heard, and valued for who they truly are.
Absolutely. And I believe that unmasking is a powerful step towards that vision. It's a step towards a future where autism is not seen as a deficit,
Right.
but as a difference that enriches our world in countless ways.
This has been an incredible journey so far.
We've delved deep into the intricacies of masking, its impact on individuals and society,
Yeah.
and the transformative power of unmasking. But there's still so much more to explore.
Right.
What happens when we shift our focus from the individual to the collective? How can we create a world that is truly inclusive and affirming of neurodiversity? We'll delve into those questions and more when we return for the final part of our deep dive. Welcome back to the deep dive. As we were heading into this last part of our exploration of masking and unmasking, I was thinking about how profound it is that by simply being our authentic selves, we can actually challenge societal norms.
It's a ripple effect, isn't it? Each person who unmasks sends a wave out there.
Right.
Makes it a little easier for the next person.
And when we talk about creating a truly inclusive society, it's not just about acceptance, is it?
Yeah.
It's about celebrating and valuing those differences.
Absolutely. It's like, imagine a society that doesn't just tolerate different ways of thinking and experiencing the world, but actually seeks them out.
Yeah.
Recognizes the unique strengths they bring.
That would be amazing. I mean, think about innovation.
Yeah.
Don't you think having a wider range of perspectives would lead to more creative solutions, breakthroughs we might not even imagine otherwise?
I completely agree. Neurodiversity isn't just about being different. It's about bringing different strengths to the table.
Yeah.
The articles we've been looking at actually highlight some fascinating examples of how autistic individuals have made incredible contributions in fields like technology, science, and the arts.
Which makes you wonder how many potential contributions are being missed because people feel pressured to mask to fit in instead of letting their unique talents shine.
It's a huge loss, not just for individuals, but for society as a whole.
So where do we even begin to create this kind of inclusive world?
Yeah, that's the question.
Is it about big systemic changes, or are there things we can do on an individual level to make a difference?
It's both. Really, we need systemic change. Things like educational reforms that embrace different learning styles and workplace policies that value neurodiversity. But change also starts with individual actions, with awareness and with empathy.
So things like educating ourselves about autism, challenging stereotypes when we encounter them, and speaking up for those who might not yet feel empowered to speak for themselves.
Exactly. It's about being an ally, about creating safe spaces where autistic people feel comfortable being their authentic selves.
It's interesting because in a way, unmasking challenges all of us to unmask a bit ourselves.
That's right.
To examine our own preconceived notions and biases.
That's such a profound point. It's about recognizing that we all have our own masks,
Right.
our own ways of conforming to societal expectations. Unmasking invites us to question those expectations, to embrace our own individuality, and to celebrate the diversity of human experience.
I love that. And for anyone listening who might be on their own unmasking journey or even just starting to think about it, what words of encouragement would you offer?
First and foremost, be kind to yourself. This is a journey, not a race. And it's okay to move at your own pace. Find your tribe, connect with others who understand your experiences, and celebrate every step you take towards authenticity.
Beautifully said. As we wrap up this deep dive, I'm struck by how much unmasking is about reclaiming power.
Yeah.
not just for individuals, but for the entire neurodivergent community.
It is absolutely. It's about saying, this is who I am, and I'm not going to apologize for it anymore.
Mm.
And that kind of self-acceptance is contagious. It inspires others to do the same.
Hopefully it inspires those who might not be autistic to pause, to listen, and to recognize the value in embracing different ways of being.
I believe it will unmasking is a catalyst for change. It's a conversation starter. And it's a reminder that our differences are not something to fear, but something to celebrate.
Well said. And on that note, I want to thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the world of adult autism and the power of unmasking. We hope this has been an informative and thought-provoking journey for you, and we encourage you to continue exploring these topics and engaging in conversations that challenge the status quo and create a more inclusive world for everyone.